All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So, the other day I showed you guys a video of a new project we're doing in Ebonyi State for a client of ours that lives abroad. And this client met us here on the channel. And that project is a luxury 7-bedroom duplex. It's in somebody's countryside. It's a country home for the family. And we are almost done with the carcass. Roofing will be done in the next few days, and then we'll go straight up into finishing, right? So if you haven't seen the video that we did a tour of the property, I will link it up below. I'll link it up below so that you go and watch it. Now, in this very video, we want to give you guys a price breakdown of what it has cost us to raise this house from foundation to where it is. And remember, the topography of the land here is very funny. We've shown you guys also. And it's also important, or worthy of note at this point, that we are not the ones that are purchasing the materials for this project, but we did the BOQ for the client, the BOQ that has been guiding us in building the house, right? So in this video, basically, the idea here now is we want to give you a step-by-step breakdown, because some of you have been saying we don't give breakdowns of our projects properly. So today we are going to be working with the BOQ handily that we used to build that house, or that is being used to build that house at the moment, and we'll give you a step-by-step walkthrough. So, but first of all, Engineer Desmond, I don't want us to go into how the project came about and all of that, because we've already talked about that in the previous video. We did the tour of the house, right? So basically, what I want to ask you, I want us to go straight to the point. I want you to walk us a little bit more about the challenges that you faced in erecting the structure in that place, because the land is slopey, and what did you do in the foundation and all of those things to make sure that the building stands strong before we go into the breakdown of the BOQ.
All right, thank you, Kingsley. Good question, because we need to understand this part, and and that will help us.
Yeah, sure.
But in as much as you had elaborated the process and how we get to meet our clients, let's not forget that we did site inspection.
Yes.
Okay, and there's clients we suggested to him as they should be that we need to, after the BOQ, that we need to do site inspection, which he paid and gave us a logistic fee. He now went and do the site inspection. It was there and then we saw the topography of the land, how it looks like. Because trust me, the client also saw the land for the first time. Okay, and most people have that experiences anyway. And even though you don't have the experience, but it's also expedient that the engineer that wants to build your house see your land.
Yes.
And that will also guide the process.
Very important.
Exactly. So he gave us the logistic fee. We did a visit to the land, me and my team, as we have been doing other ones. So then when we saw it was right when in the land, because when we got there, had a chat with him, had a talk. I called him. Based on my observation, he said, that he knows. I told him we are going to do deep foundation, and we are going to do two-step, two chaining because of the deep foundation, and that was what it is. So in going to start the project was in preparation for this.
Okay.
So we went into the project. We have to do the foundation required for such slope land. The land is slopey. We have such kind of land everywhere around, most places in the country, in the east, in Anambra, some places in Enugu, Okigwe, even in Abuja, and many other places around the west, even in Ibadan, we have those kind of land. But trust me, these are not new to us, because we have, our onions and we know what to do.
Okay.
So in summary to your question is, we met the land the way it is, and we improvise what should be done to such foundation.
All right, so no problem. Let's just go. Let's not keep this video too long. Let's go straight into the breakdown, right?
Yeah.
First of all, my regular question I always ask is, what is the most material that has gone into this house, into this project? What is the most material that you've used? Is it the cement? Is it the rods? Is it,
Okay. The most expensive materials or
the most
regular?
The most regular, and then the most expensive too.
Good.
This you mentioned.
When we want to talk about the most regular first, before the most expensive,
yeah,
the most regular materials is cement.
Okay.
Because it is cement you use in making the blocks. It is cement you use in building the house.
Okay.
First of all, like the house required by 12,000 blocks, though we actually needed a little bit, lesser or more. But that block,
12,000 blocks, is it for the entire carcass or just for foundation?
entire carcass.
Okay.
Okay. So that number now, it is cement we use in making those blocks.
Were the blocks molded on site?
Yes, most of the block, but because we needed to buy time, so when we are about going to the site, since we have done a BOQ, trust me, this BOQ was done since last year.
Okay.
Okay, while the project started this year, middle of March this year. This is just just 2 months now. Okay. So this BOQ was done last year, September. Client paid, contacted us, we did the BOQ, and that was it. So the most materials is cement. Because the block we made is for cement, and then also building of the house, the casting and everything.
Cement.
But the most expensive materials is the rod.
Okay. So let's do a detailed breakdown.
Okay.
So now, for those of you that are watching, this BOQ is actually broken down into different stages.
Yes.
That's the way we do our BOQ. We break it down into different stages so that if you have money to do the foundation stage alone, you can do it. If you have money to do the next stage, which is the ground flooring, you do that. So the first part here is the foundation stage.
The foundation stage, exactly.
And the total here, the total amount here for the foundation stage is 10,939,500 naira.
That is materials.
That's from.
That's materials.
No, that's total. What is this total?
No, what you have is total materials.
Okay, total materials. Okay. That does not include labor.
Does not include the labor, yes.
Okay. So labor.
Because it is broken down in stages. For example, foundation materials, total. Foundation labor, total. So it's only at the ground total that we summarize everything.
Okay.
So all the stages have their labor and materials. Labor and materials in all the stages.
Okay. So
yeah.
This floor, this stage right now. Okay, so the 10,939,500 is just for materials.
Materials.
Then the total amount for labor is 1,830,000 naira.
Darling. Okay. That's a foundation stage.
Okay, so let's look into it in details. What we have here, we have a 16 mm rod.
Yeah.
You did 40 pieces, 12 mm rod. So basically, just talk to us about this foundation stage first. Did you use exactly this amount? Was there savings?
Okay.
And everything? Just
okay. So in running through the foundation materials,
yes,
here we have 16 mm rod, 40 pieces, 93 pieces of 12 mm, 40 pieces of 8 mm, a bundle of peg, 75 tons of granite, 12 tons of chip sand, 30 tons of laterite, 60 pieces of board, cement, 360 bags. Then the wood will be needing 40 pieces, nails, 2 bags, blocks, 3,000 blocks. That's the foundation. And the pegging materials cost was for 70,000. Now, among all that is listed here for this project, because like when we did the touring 2 days ago, I did mention that there were some expansion.
Okay.
Personally requested from the clients.
Okay.
But this is the BOQ that was sent to me. This is a BOQ I did that governed the drawing that was sent. But now, if you look at the front of the house, it has these 2 gigantic pillars.
They were not in the drawing.
That's not the drawing. So we added that. Of course, there's an addition. Of course, this BOQ didn't really stay exactly. And more so, when we see the topography of the land, that also increased. So few things were added.
Okay.
Of course, in as much as we did not buy the materials, but just because the few materials were added, of course, the price went up.
Okay.
So now, in the 16 mm, we use about 50 pieces of 16 mm.
Okay.
Out of 40.
Against the 40 that was originally in the...
Yes, just because of the areas...
And the pillars.
And the pillars, exactly. Those two pillars contain about close to 10 pieces of it, or close to about 8. And then there are other extensions we had on the particular room that was for prayer room, and then we needed to add up toilet. Of course, this is a building that you are raising to carry some load, so you need to introduce. So we need to use about extra. We needed extra 10 10 pieces that gave us about 50 pieces of 16 mm. Now, going to, we talked about 16 mm.
Yes.
Going to 12 mm, the total number we had there was 95 pieces.
Okay.
I think the 12 mm, a little number was just, I think we had savings out of it.
Okay.
Because even though we used it 2 times chaining, but the 12 mm was just on point.
It's enough.
It was, yes, it was on point. And then the 8 mm, 40 pieces, we needed more number.
Okay, because of the pillars in front and other things.
Exactly.
All right.
And then the binding wire was on point too. Then chippings. Trust me, the way this project ran was before we even get to the site, the client has already made orders. Though he wasn't on the country, he has a trusted fellow and trusted friends. So even before we went to the site, he has already procured, because we sent our team 2 weeks ahead to start molding blocks before we get to the site to start the foundation. Okay, so he has bought strips of sand. They were almost 20 trips. Then the chippings were close to 5-6 trips. We were just there. Okay. So, but all we know that, okay, this month I don't want anything to be of delay. And trust me, the compound has space, as you saw. So there was nothing delaying. The materials were pumping in, and we too were also pumping with our materials, our job. So then the number 7 is what I want to talk about mostly on the foundation stage of the job.
What was the number 7?
Which is the collateral, which is laterite. The details here was about 30 trips.
Yes.
But because of the deep foundation, in short, we've at the time, if the land wasn't enough, we would have done basement, because the heights on the other side was just too much. Yeah. So we received and used about 80 trips.
Wow, 80 trips against the
40.
Against the 30 trips that we have.
30, yeah, it was double of it against 30 trips.
No. So, but you did inspection of the land earlier.
Yes.
Is it?
By then we had done BOQ.
Okay, you did BOQ before you inspected the land.
The inspection. This BOQ was done last year.
Okay.
This job supposed to have started January.
Okay.
So, but one or two things, and delay till.
Whose idea was it? Did the client just wanted you to give him a BOQ first of all?
Yes, he wanted us to have a BOQ to have a benchmark.
Benchmark, okay, before.
Yes.
So when you now went to go and do the inspection and saw the land.
Yeah, we now, thank you. So in course of supplying the materials, we have to upgrade it too.
Okay.
But this is the BOQ that guided the first stage of it.
Okay, so you guys see now what we always say on this channel, that why site inspection is a must. So you can see now that for the lateral idea, we had 30 trips originally, because the client said, okay, this is my drawing, just give me a BOQ. And as our tradition is, we always say, we need to go to the land and do an inspection, a physical inspection to see. The client said, don't worry, just give me a BOQ first, let me just have a benchmark. And lo and behold, now when the team now went there to inspect the land, now saw the type of land, instead of 30 trips of laterite to go into the foundation, now we now went up to 80 trips. You can see how, like, almost 3 times the original amount that was envisaged.
But the good thing here is that the clients never complain.
Oh, because he understood. No?
In short, he's fine with it, because even the particular place we need to situate this building was also a collective idea of me, him, and every other of a fellow around.
Okay.
So that's what we have we have the other area that would have
position the structure.
Position the building, but he wanted it in that very place for reasons. So you can see that, and then that was what happened. So he was fine with it, and he was ready for materials. We never lack materials. We never lack anything up to today in course of this project. I've never lacked the materials. Everybody for material procurement, the cement, everybody was even we went to the collateral who took 80. The number 8 is the board. We estimated for 60, but of course we bought up over 100. Because a lot of time we needed it. He brought it,
That's marine boards?
Not marine board, the normal boards.
Okay.
That's planks. Then for cement, it was 360 bags of cement that was in the BOQ. That flight, but we actually received half trailer. Okay. Because this job is an ongoing.
Okay. And the client doesn't want any stopping. It's just
no.
Ahead.
We're also molding blocks.
Okay.
We're also molding blocks. So things were just. Then the next in the list is 2 by 2 by 12. We requested for 40 pieces. That 40 came. Then later we added extras 60, but at the time we used it for other purposes. Okay. Then we requested for nails that came, 2 bags. Requested for, of course, the entire BOQ was 12,000 blocks.
Okay.
But in the foundation stage was 3,000.
Okay.
But just because of the increment, we actually, we use a little bit more, maybe 3,100. Okay. But we had blocks that came.
Okay. All right.
So for the foundation, there were changes.
Okay.
And every other stages as well.
So which means, from what you said now, the foundation stage took almost 20 million naira.
Let's say 12 billion naira.
12 million.
15 million.
15 million.
Exactly.
Okay, that's because of the extra.
Yeah, because
if you unforeseen that.
Unforeseen, because if you add 10 million to 1.8, and you should have been having like 12 something, but let's just say 12 to 15 million naira. But one of the things that actually helped a lot in this project was these materials were purchased in bulk prices.
Okay, in bulk.
So
to save money.
Exactly. For the cement, the company came, supplied it. For the sand, we contacted someone who does it as his business. Discounts were given. Block, they were molding in blocks and they were savings. So that's why, because if it would have gone the way the consumption was, like you mentioned, 20 million, would have actually spent that amount. Okay. But we couldn't have spent that because these things were bought in bulk prices. Like the rods, we came in bulk prices. Went to the larger market and buy them in bulk prices.
According to the BOQ here, the next stage after the foundation is the ground floor.
Exactly.
And the total amount for materials here is 22,906,500 naira. Then the total amount for labor was 2,550,000 naira, right?
Exactly.
So, since there were a lot of unforeseens in the foundation, were there any unforeseens in the ground floor BOQ here, or in the ground floor area?
Okay, I think the only unforeseen we had was on the road.
Okay.
Okay. So the 16 mm took more than what was on the BOQ, which
135 pieces.
Yes, it took more. It took extra 30 because of the parlor, the size of the parlor that will increase, and then the way the parlor looks like. Of course, you see the volume of the parlor. So that suspension you're seeing there is 16 mm, more of the 16 mm work.
Okay.
And then the 12 mm was on point. Other ones were all on point. And then we actually saved money from electrical materials and plumbing materials.
Okay. Which ones specifically?
We save money on. We have electrical materials here.
That's for 400,000
naira.
Okay.
And then we have plumbing materials for 350,000. So we save for electrical material, we save about 120, and then for plumbing material, we save about 150.
I'm sorry, how did the savings come about?
Of course, we're going to buy the materials. So we're able to have a good deal.
Okay, look for a dealer that gave a good deal.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll save out money from those stages.
Okay, so you are not the one that is in charge of the purchasing, but you always follow to the market to guide them.
Every purchasing made, either I am opportune or not, but I have my team.
Okay.
Like when it gets to the electrical time, I have to attach my
in-house electrician.
Yes, to go and then source it and get the right thing. And so that was where we could make some savings and all that.
Okay, so the electrician, you help. Did you direct them to people that sold the materials to them?
No, within the vicinity we are. We just went to the person, because what happened in the project is that when we go to a place to work, we don't live everywhere, but we work almost in many places. Okay, so now in this location, we just went to the person we think can give us discount.
Okay.
Usually, even before now, we had done a side house. And before we do the side house, I went to, the cost of the side house was, the total cost for the side house I gave from a distance was about 900. Remember that breakdown?
Yeah.
That we had on the system. But what we ended up spending was about 700. We spent close to 200,000 naira for the side house expenditure. So how do we achieve this? We'll give the right price. The price we are giving is what the market says. But when we get to a locality, sometimes
dealers
we'll get a dealer, and then most times the price could be friendly.
Yes, and most of the dealers will give you a discount because they've seen the project ongoing.
Exactly.
So they want you to come back again. So
most times I will go and tell them I'm an engineer, and then trust me, you'll be doing this, and by the time, let's assume we need 40 trips of sand or 100 trips of sand for a particular project. You're going to buy for block molding. You're going to buy for laying the block. You're going to buy for plastering. And then let's assume that foundation will take 40. The other stage will take 40. The other stage will take 40. And then someone is standing a chance to supply about 120 bags of 20 trips of sand. If the sands are sold for 70,000, at least someone will give you 5,000 discounts.
Yes, because of the volume you're buying.
With the volume. So those are the way we make savings. And we also advise our clients to follow suit. Either we are the one buying directly, or our client is buying for us.
Okay, so now we are at the first floor, right?
Yeah.
And the total amount for materials, according to the BOQ here, is 9,193,000 naira. Exactly. And the labor was 6,770,000 naira.
Yeah.
So I want you to walk us through this stage. Did everything go as planned? Were there unforeseens?
Okay, good. First of all, as this BOQ works, each of the stages has their labor company to it.
Yeah.
Okay, someone will be wondering, why is 6 million naira at the first floor? Why other ones they're like the ground floor was 1.8. The
labor.
The 1.8
for the labor.
For the labor. And then the ground floor to decking stage that is more required was a 2-point-something million and 2 point. And then this one, no. The reason, okay, let's talk about the materials. Now, these materials went as stated here.
Okay.
But they were savings.
Okay.
Actually. Now.
I'm sorry, before you go ahead, savings from what? Which of them?
From materials.
Okay.
The reason is because, the savings is because from materials. The reason is because these materials were bought in bulk prices. We never go to market and buy one bag of cement.
One bag of cement, okay.
When we are contracting the sandman, we did not tell you to buy one, bring one.
1 trip of
1 trip of sand, exactly. And that is the reason, that is what I always advise a lot of our clients. When we want to run a project, that's why we prepare a BOQ in stages. Actually, I like a client of ours somewhere in Benin who currently we are doing a job for.
Yeah.
He said, Desmond, do me a BOQ for 8 stages.
Okay.
And I say, this is what it will cost you. Say, I'm ready to pay. Of course, we negotiated. He's a client. He has the right to negotiate, and we gave him an offer. Now, he paid for 8 stages. So it was broken down into stages than what, this one is about 4 stages.
Yeah.
That one was for 8 stages. The reason is because he knows his plan, he knows his budget, he knows how he want to go. So for the foundation stage, we gather all the materials at once.
Okay.
Now, trust me, when we are doing a BOQ, we will do a BOQ according to quantity and the market prices. But we will save money when you buy this thing in bulk prices.
Okay.
So what am I trying to say is related here now. Cement, we didn't wait to go to the next stage and then we get for cement. So the client knowing that this project is going to run till roofing, as you know and as you can see, we order cement in trailer.
Trailer, okay.
Because we use it for molding of blocks.
Use it for everything.
We use it for every other thing. Molding of blocks and even fencing. So you okay, I've seen your BOQ, because it was more particular about the BOQ, just to order cement in trailer, and they came. The man selling chippings, of course, chipping in that area is a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Because of that is more of the local business done there.
There's quarry around it.
Exactly. So that is why in Ebonyi State, if I'm giving you a price of chipping, it will be different from what I will give you in Oka.
In Oka or in Lagos.
In Lagos. For example, in Ogun State, those things are cheaper. Granite, exactly. There are some area too, sand is very cheap. Like in this locality in Ebonyi now, wood is not expensive that much because they have more of the forests and all that. Exactly. So this thing varies. That is why when we say, please, let's have your BOQ done, calculated, it helps you more. So I would say that they were savings because these materials were bought in quantity. And as we go to the next stage, whatever that remained this was a rollover.
Carry along to
the next stage.
Okay, so basically, okay, so can you really pinpoint anything that there were savings on here, or is it because the materials were bought in bulk?
Yeah, so exactly. So that saving is for that bulk materials. But just like when we were working for our client last year, you notice that we buy them in bulk. Even when we're going to the next stage, we have some leftover. And we have to tell her, oh, this is remaining. You subtract the money. Like one of the stages was about 14-something million naira. And then we had savings of about 2 point something. and then she saved that money she sent, she subtracted it and sent the next one.
The next one.
So
in materials we carry
the best way is if you have a target of running the project, you will buy them in bulk.
Okay. So basically, your advice here is,
Yeah.
if you want to save money, now, first of all, before I say what I want to say, when you do BOQs like this,
Yeah.
do you do the BOQs like the prices that reflect in the BOQ? Are they for retail or for bulk purchase?
The prices for BOQ, depending on the project, it varies. Depending on the category of project and depending on how you want it. If you tell me like you want to run this project at stretch, we go for bulk prices, and I will mention it to you that this is what you stand to gain.
Okay.
Then if you also said, give me just the BOQ and you want to see how we do market price.
Okay.
So we will not deceive you. For example, if we say cement is 10,000 naira and you go to the market and cement end up being 100,000, we did not deceive you. Cement end up being lower. So we give you market price. So it depends on your brief. That's what we use in doing your BOQ.
Okay.
And based on the locality, the area.
Just as you said earlier.
Yes.
All right. So now let's go to the final stage here, which is the roofing stage.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, what...
Okay, so there's something else I wanted to say about the labor.
Okay.
So someone will say,
yeah.
why is your labor exactly? Why is your labor is 6 million? At this time, we have added supervision fee.
Okay.
And this supervision fee is discussed based on us and our clients and the job description.
And the location,
distance and
all those things.
Everything, because most of the job we go with our team to get for productivity and also good results until so we discussed that. So the reason at this point we have added supervision fee, and that brings the labor to about 6,707,000, of which a particular labor fee, supervision fee, assuming we charge you 7 million naira for supervision fee, or 8 million, or 9 million, or 4 million, or 2 million, we can share those ones into stages.
Okay.
So when you are paying for foundation stage,
they pay it.
You can share it. So we'll always add it at the end. But trust me, we do a BOQ on how you want it and on what favors you.
Okay.
And what the market says too.
All right, so let's talk about them. Let's quickly talk about the roofing.
The roofing wood, exactly.
The roofing quotation here.
Yeah.
The BOQ here says that the total amount for the roofing is 8,767,000 for materials.
Yes.
And then
by then we are done with the labor calculation. The labor ended at that other 6 points.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you only have here is
8,767,000 for the materials.
Yes.
Okay, but you also made mention that the roofing did not go as the BOQ
exactly
actually said. So I want you to expatiate on that while you answer that question.
Fine. So we spend more money on the roofing. More materials were required.
Why?
Because of the size of the building.
Okay.
Because all that size expansion we did from the ground to the decking and all that reflected on the building heights.
Okay.
On the span. Of course, that porch increment alone takes some more wood. So some wood were added here. For example, 650. I think at the end of the day, we actually have to do another BOQ. At this point, we have gotten to the roofing stage.
Yes.
Okay. So we were able to do exact measurements.
Okay.
For example, there's a particular job we are doing somewhere around on HRGRA. Okay. Now, just because of addition and subtraction, when we get to the roofing stage now, we have to do physical measurements.
Okay.
Give it or take. These things happen in projects. Yes, this thing happens in projects. Give it or take. Just that when you have get trustworthy team, it fits you. It works for you.
Okay.
So what you should sort out for is trustworthy people that will tell you when it is A. For example, now a client has been asking, like today we had a long meeting. He said, oh, how many roofing this thing will you need? I said, for now, I will advise we will get in two companies to give us an estimate, which we will also do our own and measure. So it's better to do the reality. So for this building, at this stage, we had realities of exactly the materials quantity for the roofing. So that happened is 20 pieces of, because of the span of some areas, so we needed some size of wood. So we now needed 20 pieces of 2 by 6 by 18.
Okay.
This is one of the tickets. They use it for some warehouses. Don't forget that those areas we increased.
Okay.
Were
Yeah.
done on site.
Yeah.
They were not in the drawing.
Okay.
So we couldn't have calculated this. So this by 18 size of wood is a longer one that they used to cross long span. Long span area.
Yes, without the pillars.
Exactly. And this has to happen while we have erected the building and saw what the building details is all about.
Okay.
But it wasn't in the BOQ. Okay. God bless you. So now, 800 pieces, but in the BOQ, it was about 600.
Yes, 650 pieces.
Thank you. So 800 pieces of 2 by 4 by 18.
Yes.
250 pieces of 2 by 4 by 12. 1,200 pieces of 2 by 3.
Well, the original BOQ, you said 900 pieces.
Exactly. So now we had 1,003. 4 bags of nails, 4 bags of 4 inches nails, 5 bags of 3 inches nails, 700 square meters of roofing sheets. So, but my explanation here is there were more different sizes of wood, like by 18, that naturally there wasn't there because of the reality on ground.
Okay, so how much did you not end up spending on the roof according to your BOQ?
What we end up spending on the roof was, according to our BOQ, I think it was extra 3 million naira. Because just yesterday we have the order for more wood.
Okay.
And the client also wants it to be higher, beyond what it is
in the drawing.
Want the roof to be very high.
Okay, so in other words, now we're
not really high, but something reasonably, because the height of the roof gives cooler airing into the house.
Okay, so basically right now, instead of 8.7 million, they spent about
close to 10 million naira.
Okay.
Close to 10 million naira, about 9.5.
1.5.
Yeah, about, yes.
Okay. So now the lesson on this particular stage is, anytime you call engineer and say, engineer, I don't like the way this part is, adjust it like this, adjust it like that. Just know that the adjustments that you're adjusting will at some point, maybe if it will require more roofing materials or more cement to do this or that, so it might alter the BOQ. It's good you understand this. So thank you very much, engineer. Normally in most of other breakdowns, we'll tell you a little bit more about the work, the job, and all of that. But due to popular demand and request, in this particular project right now, we're just giving you a detailed breakdown on the BOQ. But the next time I'm going to show you, or we are going to show you the house, then we can now do maybe a breakdown again.
Comprehensive cost of the entire BO cost of carcass, and of course by then the finishing should have been completed, because this project, we have a timeline of finishing it in the next 2 months.
In the next 2 months?
Yes.
Should be done with it?
Because the client wants to use it for summer.
Okay. All right, so there you have it.
Yeah.
I know some people will ask that, what is the size of the land? You see, this house is in the village, right? It's in somebody's community. So in most of these communities, the land is as far as your eyes can see. This particular property now, the entire land that the client has there is about 12 plots. And the client is even wants to acquire more and add. And so they want to make it maybe like a mini ranch, that there will be other things in the compound or in the facility and all of that. So land was not actually the issue here. The house is not in the city, so land here is not an issue. There was enough land to play with, it's just your pocket that might not be able to play the play. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. Write them down in the comments. We will look at them, and of course we'll give you a reply. We might either sit down like this and make a video, or we will reply you, or you can still reach out to us with our numbers that are showing on your screen right now, and we'll talk. All right? My name is Kingsley. This is our in-house engineer Desmond. The building phase. We'll catch you again in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye for now.